Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Dan Cave and welcome to my review of 2024 and all the kits that have been built in the Dan Cave this year. So, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the video, and feel free to leave a comment down below on anything about the video, anything about the kits that I'm going to show you that have been built this year. So, total of 16 kits been built in the Dan Cave this year. That's about the same as last year, a little bit more than last year, but we're talking less than 20. Previous years have done more than 20. Last year was a low number. This year's about 16, which feels about right for the type of kits that were built and the level of detail and stuff like that, and just with everything else that's been going on this year. So really pleased with what's been done. Really pleased with the kits. So let's dive on over and have a review of everything that's been done so far this year. Over we go. So this is it. This is the 2024 year in review, or at least a review of what's been built in the Dan Cave in 2024. So, brilliant start to 2024 for me was the Lotus 97T from Fujimi in 20th scale. Brilliant kit. Had a few issues with the exhausts and turbos and getting them aligned correctly, and it's a bit of a theme for this year. But other than that, this kit went together absolutely brilliantly. Really enjoyed it. It's very fragile parts to work with, but they go together very, very well if you treat them correctly. So finished in the iconic John Player special scheme as well. So absolutely loved building this kit. Really pleased with how it came out. Second up was the Micromere 144th scale Vickers Valiant. So this was to finish off the V bombers. So I built the Great Wall Hobbies, Vulcan, and Victor. And this was the only 144th Valiant available at the time. And it was a real disappointment. It was hard work. Paint scheme didn't go as well as I expected, but the kit itself was just such hard work that it was just overall just disappointing. But it has completed the set, and of course, during the build of this, Great Wall Hobby did actually release their version in 144th scale, which I will probably go back to and revisit at some point. But yeah, kit was hard work for what it was. Short run injection molded kits can be hard work and difficult. So third in the year was the new 24th scale Audi A4. So again, would I describe this as a bit of a holy grail car? I suppose it was a little bit. For me, it was an iconic touring car from the super touring era of British touring cars. I remember racing. I remember watching it racing, and when they announced it was being released, I was absolutely delighted. Absolutely loved this car, and it was a really enjoyable kit. Curbside, but with the detail upset, you get some nice photo etch details and some nice carbon decals, which just set it off a little bit better. But yeah, absolutely over the moon with how well this kit went together. And I do have another one in the stash as well. So number 4 for the year was the Revell Ferrari California. So this is in 24th scale. So this was picked up from eBay a few years back, and in the box there happened to be a hobby design photo etch set as well. So that was put to good use. Things like brake discs, number plates, badges, some of the interior details, all in photo etch. And all went together absolutely fantastically with Gravity Spain, Rosso Corsa, and Gravity 2K. So again, went together well. Surprising level of detail from a Revell kit. Still some of their usual kind of flaws and issues, but really pleased with how well this kit went together. So next up in at number 5 for the year was the BMAX 124 BMW M3 E30. So this was done in an aftermarket scheme, got from Decal Designer on eBay, which is the Tough Mac Bertie Fisher scheme. The decals themselves performed pretty well for what they are, so I was pleased with how well they performed. Major issues for me on this were it is left-hand drive. It should be a right-hand drive car. I am going to work on making some 3D prints for a right-hand drive version at some point. That's my plan anyway. So I may rebuild this or I may pull it apart and reinstall the dashboard at some point. But very pleased with how it went together. Again, working with those decals for the first time, a few little minor issues that need to be sorted. But other than that, the decals perform very well. And I would use some of his sets on some of the more rare kits or rare schemes that are out there at some point in the future. So, number 6. So, number 6 was the Tamiya 1/24 scale Toyota GT1. So, this was really enjoyable, actually. Put a lot of effort into this. There's a lot of carbon fiber has gone into this kit on the exterior, on the interior, and as you can see here, on the engine. So, it was a big effort. I didn't have the Studio 27 set. All this was hand cut based on basically what would be in the Studio 27 set. And I made my own templates based on that information and pulled this all together. So really enjoyable build for what is an entry-level, cheaper Tamiya kit. Absolutely fantastic. Goes together very, very well. So in at number 7 is the Itaglieri 1/72 scale F4C Phantom. So again, it was mainly done because I'd not done many aircraft over the last year or so. Felt an urge to do another Phantom. Pulled this old Itaglieri kit out of the stash, and it came in Robin Owl's scheme from the Vietnam War. So built pretty much straight from the box. Absolutely trouble-free build. Nothing beyond what would be expected, of course, for an Itaglieri kit of this vintage. Usual issues with intakes and intake seams. Other than that, it all went together absolutely fine. As you can see, yeah, reasonably pleased with how it came out. Could have been weathered a little bit more, but I think for 72nd scale, I think it went all right. So number 8, we're halfway through. So Revell 125th Corvette C5R. So this was the US boxing in the CompuWare scheme. Paint came from Zero Paint. There's Xenon Blue. Some really nice parts to this kit. A big part count, but it's a little bit clunky in places. Some of the details a little bit kind of thick, soft, soft angles on it, softer details, a little bit kind of overly thick in some places, but there is a lot to the kit. Overall, an enjoyable build. I do have another one in the stash, which will be done in the yellow scheme at some point. So, yeah, another very enjoyable build there. So now it's time to move into, I suppose, the second half of the list. So we're on to number 9. So this is a kit from RS Models. Again, a short run injection molded kit in 72nd scale of the KI61 Otsu. So really enjoyable build. Really nice to kind of test my airbrushing skills once again, trying to get some finer details using the Harder & Steenbeck 0.15. I think it worked out quite well in that scale. Trust me, this is a tiny little aircraft. But yeah, very pleased with how it went together, particularly for a short run injection molded kit. And then it's on to another aircraft, which this time is the Airfix 72nd scale Bristol Beaufighter. So this, always been a fan of the Beaufighter. Lovely aircraft. And this time I went for a little bit of a more battered and beaten Beaufighter. The kit itself goes together well from Airfix. No major issues. A few minor issues, but no kind of major dramas with how the kit went together. Construction was fine. Fit and finish were absolutely fine. And yeah, I actually enjoyed this one as well. Very pleased with the end result. And then it's on to one of the more unusual things that I've finished this year, so this was something I actually started the year before. It's been kind of picked up and put down and continued. So this is from Ninja Prints. It's the Ragnar Lothbrok figure from Viking. So it's about 150 mil tall. So quite a reasonably big bust figure. And this is one of these things that really tested my hand painting, my flesh tones as well. So real challenge to get them done reasonably well. But overall, I'm very, very pleased with the outcome. All the tattoo work on the head, that was all done by hand as well. So yeah, very, very pleased with this I suppose, my first kind of human figure completed this year. So in at number 12 is the Airfix 1/35th scale Ferret Scout. So this was picked up Telford the year before. So this has been done to represent one of the vehicles that was used by the Irish Army during the Congo crisis. The registration number is incorrect and the UN markings are probably incorrect as well. But not being able to find many reference pictures, I kind of went with, we'll say, more of a tribute build to how those vehicles may have looked during the Congo campaign. But yeah, I was really pleased with how well this kit went together. I do plan on putting it on a base with some figures at some point in the future, but the kit itself is done as part of 2024's efforts. And then in at number 13, unlucky for some, is the 1/12th scale Renault RE20. So this was started way back in March, I think, February or March of this year. My first big scale F1 car. This is the Tamiya kit. Overall, I am very, very pleased with how it went together. I mean, I think every element of the car was given a reasonable amount of attention. I think the only problems I had in the final kind of bits of the kit, and you can see some of the issues at the very top of the screen, is some of the fit of the bodywork at the very back end of the build left a lot to be desired, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But again, it's about, for me, it's a little bit about lessons learned. I need to reflect on why those issues transpired and look at trying to correct them for the next 12 scale build that I do. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed building this kit. In at number 14, and less thoroughly enjoyed and more persevered, is the aging Italieri Ford Escort Mark II in 24th scale in the Rothman scheme. So this is one of these kits that people say can't be built, it's too bad to build. I kind of wanted to prove them wrong and manage to put it together, but there are major issues with this kit. First of all is the track on the wheels is way too narrow. It's like the track for the road car rather than a rally car, so that was a little bit of adjustment needed. The right height of the rear was awful as well, so again, some adjustment needed. But aside from that, the kit does go together. Plenty of fillers needed for the body, but it does go together. And overall, I'm reasonably pleased. It does need new wheels and tyres. The kit ones are absolutely awful. So I think some 3D prints may be done for the wheels and tyres at some point. But I do have schemes for Mark II Escorts, rally cars that I need to do in the future. So this was about making sure that the kit was buildable to allow me to do some of those schemes at some point in the future. So in at number 15, as we get into the back end of the year, was the Hasegawa 1/24th Kramer Porsche 962C in the Yokohama scheme. It's a very simple build, very simple curbside kit. There's basically no detail underneath that body. There's absolutely nothing to see, really. It's a basic body shell, very basic interior, but it goes together very well, and it was quite an enjoyable build to do after some more complex builds. And, to try and add a little bit of extras, as you can see on the rear end, I've added a couple of bolts onto the rear gurney flap, just to try and add a little bit of detail to what is basically a very simple kit, but went together absolutely fine. And then the final kit for this year is the Valom 1/72nd scale Avro Anson C19 in the Irish Air Corps markings now. Although I say it's the Valom kit, it's the Valom fuselage. This has been mated to the wings from an Airfix Mark I kit, because the particular version that the Irish Air Corps used, that this one represents, was an early C19, which had the older style wings. So yeah, it was quite a lot of effort to get them mated together. But generally, I am reasonably pleased with the final result. All kind of went together absolutely fine, kept weathering relatively light, because this is how the aircraft appeared in a museum back in the early 80s, long after it left service. But enjoyable build, if not challenging, trying to get those wings matched to that fuselage. So that is it. That is the 16th and final kit for 2024. So as the picture says, let's head back to me for some thoughts about how 2024 has gone. So there we go. That's my rundown of the 16 kits built in the Dan Cave this year. So it's interesting with this new camera. I can see that you guys can see a lot more than maybe you saw previously because it's a bit more of a wide angle camera, and it means I probably need to tidy up a little bit more for future videos. But however, that was the rundown of the 16 kits built. Top 3 in no particular order. Well, maybe in chronological order, who knows. So, my top 3 of the year. I think first kit I built at the start of this year, the Fujimi 20th scale Lotus 97T. Absolutely loved doing that kit. Very pleasantly surprised by the standard of the kit from Fujimi. It was very, very good. It was reasonably well detailed. And I think my execution on it was probably as good as I could do. So very, very pleased with that. And a good way to start the year. Number 2, it's the Toyota GT1 actually. It was one of those kits. It's a £25 kit from Tamiya. It's been around a long time. It's reasonably detailed. But nonetheless, it is aging now. But I dived into it, spent a lot of time on the carbon work. And I think it really just brings the standard of the kit up by getting all that amount of detail into it. But really enjoyed doing it. Really enjoyed the level of addition the carbon brings to it. I think some photo etch would have brought up another level again, but I didn't have any for this kit. So I just went with adding a lot of carbon, all hand cut and added, and various different styles of carbon as well. So really enjoyed that. So that's number 2 on the list of the top 3. So what will be the final one in the top 3? I'm going to say the Airfix 72nd scale Beaufighter. A decent kit from Airfix. By far means not perfect, but once again, it was actually how I got into the kit, just how it kind of flowed, how the paint and weathering all kind of hung together, and I just really enjoyed the process of building it. It was a nice departure from maybe some of the other types of kits I was doing this year, but I really enjoyed that, and very pleased with the finish. So yeah, that's it. That's my top 3. That's the 3 kits I would say are top of the charts for me out of the 16 that were built. So there you go. There's my rundown. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. There'll be a link to buy me a coffee as well. So if you want to support the channel, please buy me a coffee. But other than that, we are now done. Thanks for watching. See you all very, very soon. And see you in 2025. Bye for now.